The way that he looks at me when he holds my hand. He wants everyone to know I'm his woman and he is my man. We can talk about anything. He's got nothing to hide. He's not afraid of his feelings. He's not a slave to his pride. He's giving me love so steady. He touches my heart. Now I'm ready. He touches my soul and my spirit. He's giving me love so steady. So steady. Ooh. Steady love. Ooh. Steady love. I never met a man that I wanted to be his wife. And then he came along. It's so natural to make a life. Cause he's a perfect compliment. Cause I'm a boss in my world. But when we're together, he just makes me feel like his girl. He's giving me love so steady. He touches my heart. Now I'm ready. He touches my soul and my spirit. He's giving me love so steady. So steady. He puts every other man I've ever known to shame. I just wanna be with him, talk to him, sleep near him, walk with him, be with him every day. I wanna be lovers and friends and mother his children, make breakfast on Sunday and fight and then make up again. Cause if life's gonna be crazy anyway, I wanna do it with you. Steady love. Hey. Ooh. Steady love. He's a good father. He's a good cook. He loves his basketball and he loves a good book. I'll tell you how I know he's the perfect one for me. Cause he's a warrior in the streets, but he's a king in the sheets. He's giving me love so steady. He touches my heart. Now I'm ready. He touches my soul and my spirit. He's giving me love so steady. He's giving me love so steady. He touches my soul and my spirit.
Yo, just pull up to the Love Palace. Ain't no cap here, just facts and feels. D and Kel's on the mic, we talking ships, all kinds. Pull up and unpack. You just enjoy friendships that held me down through the struggle. Companions who dipped when I stepped out the bubble. Family ties that tug, some tight, some frayed. But we lay it all out, let the truth get played. No judgment, just lessons on velvet chairs. We speak from the gut, raw love, stripped bare. Got a steed, got that glow like sage in the wind. Queen Clothes hit the mic, truth spilling again.
Ships, we talking, we walking. No filters, just real. Love Palace, the spot where your soul can heal. All them ties, all those vibes, we ain't letting them drown. We lift ships up, never tear them down.
Situationships with benefits and blurred lines. Late night convos that redefine mine. Friend turns to foe, may turn to ghost, but we speak on it all. Toast to the growth, auntie vibes with a twist. Drop gems in the mist. Got a palace full of wisdom, come get you a fix. Mic check, soul check, what's your connection? We the pulse of the people, every vibe gets a section. This ain't no gossip, this is gospel with glitter. A sanctuary for the stories they told you to bury. Let your voice rise, let your pain breathe, let your ship dock here.
Hello, 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 hello.
I hear you there, girl. How you doing?
I don't have no echo.
No, not that I hear.
Okay. How's everybody today? I hear echo on my end, but let me see. Okay. How's everybody this evening? Everybody that's in the building and in the cloud. Hope y'all having a good evening. And how we always do at the Love Palace, you know how I'm gonna do it, Gail.
I know how you doing.
How's your mental health today?
It's stable. I can say that like I've gotten to a place of normalcy at this point in this moment. So it's stable. How is your mental health today?
My mental health is good. I'm good. I mean, I can't complain. Uh, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's wonderful.
We speaking about mental health, so you know how that goes. That's hey,
Yeah, hey, it can be a sensitive subject. My thing is I'm sick of it being a sensitive subject. Let's go ahead, talk about it, get it out in the open. Be aware of the ones we could tell our business to and the ones we can't, and let's heal together.
right. So this episode of Chips, we were focusing on men mental health, right, and
Hmm.
the woman's perspective behind it. We was hoping to get some men, but I don't know if anybody's gonna come up, so we just gonna keep on talking it up about it because I
Yeah.
think both of us really, like I said at the beginning of the show, for the live, that we noticed that it's an issue um, in the community, especially in our melanated and brown community with the men's mental health and how they really don't, people really are not aware. Some
Hmm.
sound like boys in the hood. They don't know or don't show or
Yeah.
about their mental health. And um, some things really hit home with us the last couple of weeks being back in our hometown and seeing how our men are struggling with certain things, even in uh, committed relationships, even in marriages. You know what I'm like? And
Hmm.
we like, wait a minute, what's your girl doing? And they like, it ain't working, and everything, things aren't going as planned and so forth. And we like, what is going on around here? So what
Right.
wanted to talk about?
And then just also just the fact that they don't feel that they will be heard. So they just don't say nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have those moments where you'll have someone that says, you know what, I did say something, but they didn't hear me. Or I'm not going to say nothing because I know they not going to listen.
Right. And I think that was what the shocker was, because it was like, no, there's women here. We're here to listen, and we like waving the life jacket and all that and saying, here we go, we got you, we can anchor you. And
Hmm.
a lot of men were felt at a loss, like even there people in our own family. You know what I'm saying? They were like, I don't even care anymore. I'm over this. And then you're like, wait, hold on, what do you mean? Not in a to the extent of like that, but they were ready to give up relationships. Some have, you know, took other alternatives that were very unhealthy for them, and we're helping them
Mhm.
get through that as well. And it's like, what is going on? And we realize that women have a lot to do with it in these conversations that we did have
Yeah.
with the ones that our loved ones that it was issues,
And I just think,
financial issues.
mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead. No, finish what you was about to
Go
say.
ahead.
No, I was just saying, just thinking about how things just are going right now, just mental health, period. I know that it's becoming a bigger topic for us to discuss. However, I can say that we do hear these conversations buzzes around men's mental health, but sometimes you really don't look at it as deeply until it does hit home.
Mhm.
Until you see how it does affect the people in your life and how men shut down, especially when is not a safe space for them to have that conversation. And so I think that I want to get away from the stigma of that men are just so stoic or they can't talk about what's going on in their life to a point to where it's now harming their mental health.
Mhm. Absolutely. To the point where they have even said, I tried, if they are in a relationship, I didn't mention it. They'll say that. I didn't talk about it. And now I'm just tired. And that tiredness turns into not talking to anybody. They're
Mhm.
like, it's like, because the person that they're with, they're like, that's the person I should be able to talk to and be able to have these feelings of whatever. And I'm telling you, I'm tired. I'm telling you, I'm having some issues. And when we as women ignore that, especially when you're in a relationship or marriage, it can make the men have real mental health issues, and they just shut down. They'll shut
Mhm.
down altogether. Like, well, I try to talk to the person that I love, and they just shut down. And I think that's why we were really concerned. And today, even with like I was saying, financially, when the husband is the one that's bringing in the money, the most money, and there, a lot of people are getting laid off or jobs are getting transferred, and they're not able to do that. I think that takes a sense of pride away. What do you
Yeah, I could see that totally.
think? Because it's like I can't provide for the family the way I want to provide for, and I'm used to doing this, and it might take time, to get a job or find a new job. And we as women have to, for those men that were the breadwinners, this is the time where I always say that independent attitude that you had before you got into that relation comes into play. Because this is where I, let me see, as myself
Mhm.
in a relationship, but and we're very dependent. You know what I'm saying? We're very dependent on that top piece.
Yeah.
Hey, King Miller.
What's
Hey,
going
how
on,
you
y'all? How y'all
doing?
doing? Since y'all up here talking about man, and ain't no man on this panel,
Let's
Thank
go.
so I
you.
desire to help y'all out
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for gracing us with your presence. Thank you. We
because
appreciate
y'all
you.
talking about mans now. I'm a man, and y'all talking about mental health.
Right?
Shoot,
Please provide us with some introspection. And by the way,
man,
sorry, Goddess D, but how is your mental health today, King Miller?
it's up and down today, up and down,
Okay.
up and down. That's the only thing
All
I'm gonna
right.
say, up and down.
Okay. We could
Shoot.
take that.
But with
Oh
the
yeah.
mental health for the female part, right? Y'all female make us go crazy sometimes, and y'all know y'all do. And y'all, sometimes y'all females don't like us to talk to y'all when we talk to y'all now. Y'all don't want to listen. Some of y'all don't. Y'all know I'm telling the truth now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We out here. I'm gonna say we because I used to be that woman. I used to be in
Talking
some
about ain't
areas.
talking about ain't nothing wrong with you. You know, I'm trying to tell you something wrong with me today. Leave me alone. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You all right. That what y'all good for. Y'all good to say you all right. You be all right. Ain't nothing wrong. Go drink or something. You be all right.
Mm. See, this is the stuff we want to hear because we, as women of being going through our healing journey and realizing our mistakes, we like these women out here. Why ain't they talking? We both experienced some things like where we were in our hometown with um, family and friends where they are just their mental health is, and it
Yeah.
got scary for us. So we were like, no, we want to know as women what we're doing, like you just said, and how can we help. So hearing that we're not listening means women we need to listen.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So
y'all do. Y'all do need
uh,
to listen a little bit more. Just not honestly, y'all gotta listen 24/7 now. Just listen enough though.
What does a woman creating a safe space for you look like, King Miller?
Let me see. Let me see.
Or
For
what
so
would it look? Not saying that you don't have it, but what would if you could have it your way completely? What would that look like for you?
like this gonna say when I come home from work, I do be have a long day and sometimes the job gets frustrated. Just give me like an hour to myself. Let me calm down and deal with what I gotta deal with and wind down and just say, okay, you home, honey? Yeah, I'm home. And then let me be by myself for at least 1 hour. That's all I ask. For 1 hour by myself. That's it. Then you can ask me anything you want to ask me on your mind.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Simple.
And you know what, we talk about simplicity over here because I think that sometimes we as women make it harder than it has to be, especially when it comes to that listening part. Because you guys are usually the fixers and will do it. You just need the safe space to be able to relax into yourself before you jump into um livelihood after work or whatever it may be. Am I saying that correctly?
You are saying 100% correctly.
Okay.
100%. And it does that sometimes, like me personally, I feel like when you're nagging and something y'all female good with that nagging. Y'all know you ain't gonna do this, you ain't do this, you say you were gonna do this. And sometimes we human, we forget things. You know what I mean? We ain't perfect. Things happen to us. You know what I mean? Something happened, came up, we forgot. Just forgive us. But when you're doing all that nagging, like, damn, you get on my back today? And little thing bother you.
Yeah.
let me go ahead and welcome us to Star Blended Healing. Mel Von Bell is in the chat as well. Thank you for showing. And the Players Only TV is in the building. Thank you guys for showing us. Go
Hey
ahead.
y'all.
I just want to make sure I'm giving my shout out. You already know. I'm glad King Miller came up here because um, I want to hear this. You know what I'm saying? These are things that I want to hear, especially because if I'm going to start dating, I want to make sure, I'm looking for that special guy. I want to make sure his mental health is correct.
So you
And
said you about to start. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, hold on. We want to talk. Hold on. Did my ear playing trick? You said you about to start dating?
well, I mean, I've always wanted
Well,
within
we
the last
been date. We been dating.
dating, but you know how it goes. When I
Man.
find the right one, hey, I'm trying to make sure the mental health is right. And I think
Yeah.
that, like, having conversations, like, I don't want the person that I'm dating with and not feel that they cannot talk to me. And I want to make sure, like, it is a safe space, like, health.
Okay, I'm ready to give you a hand. If you do start dating and you let the man know what 100% who you are. You know what I mean? If you got issue, let the person know. Like, hey, you if you gonna walk into some stuff that you might not want to walk into. It's up to you. Give me the option of like, hold on, let me back up. Like, oh, you got this? Nah, I can't do this. I'm just
Absolutely.
saying because when you start dating and you don't tell the person what they're walking into, and it sometimes be too late. Like, damn, I walked into this. Why you didn't tell me about you? You were kind of crazy. Why you didn't tell me you was this and this? Your family was this, and you didn't know about the family. The family is crazy. You crazy. Like, oh no, I gotta leave this because you didn't tell the person. You know what I mean? Now, some do if you up front though, they like, okay, they want to step everything you got because you didn't hide nothing. You kept it 100. My, you know what I mean? You didn't make me nervous because you kept it real.
Hmm.
And it goes the same way, guys. We gotta start telling the truth now. You know what I mean? Let the females know what they walking into too. 'Cause some of us guys, we be up here fronting, and all of a sudden you down the road, you start telling the truth. Tell them heads up.
I
That's
agree
it.
with you. I agree with you 110%.
Yeah,
Like seriously, because at when you really think about it, why are we wasting time? Like it's a waste of time to get with somebody and then change into a whole different person. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
just to get out of the relationship, you wasting your time at that point. But
yeah.
like we were
I'm
talking, oh, go ahead, Keep.
no, I'm not saying I agree with you. I agree with you.
And because I mean, like I said, us visiting back home and just the things that we came across when we was at home was like, dang, you know what I mean? Just having people in our lives that usually would talk to us, you know what I mean, but completely shut down or go missing, not, you know what I mean, not say things like, and we were out there like, okay, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, we moved from home, but dang, what's going on with our
that the
people?
I'm gonna tell you something. And the name was just that. I feel you on that because my like I live in South Carolina. I do got other kids in New York who and my kid one of my daughter hit me up
Mm-hmm.
and she was explaining to me. I was listening to her when she was talking. I was just listening. She just feel that the long distance relationship is not what she feels like it should be because we so far away. It's hard to because she work, I work, we always on the move. And I said, yeah, but I did offer you, I offer you to move down here with me. I told you, hey, you move down, I help you get a place and all that stuff. But your choice, you decided to stay in New York. I can't force you to move. Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's how you feel. I understand how you feel, but you got to understand this. I'm not moving back there. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do New York no more. And people is like that. Family like that, friends, they shut down when they find out you're moving. They're like, this person ain't never coming. This person ain't never coming back.
Yeah, and I think that the perspective sometimes need to change on that too. I can't say that I know what it feels like to have a child in a different state. However, like the willingness to keep the relationship, and I guess that's more what we talk about now at this point is just the ability to be able to keep the relationship going. Yeah, you may not be able to travel there, but I mean, not be able to stay there, but you could travel there, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
likewise, she traveled to you. I think we just need to have empathy on both sides. You know what I
y-
mean? Looking at it
Yeah.
from a different person's perspective other than our own. Because sometimes never know how, like I don't not sure how what her situation is, but just kind of speaking in general, when you see how people grow up, you know that they have a different perspective. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Some people might be like, nah, he just need to be here. That's the only way he could
Yeah.
be a dad is
Yeah.
if he's right here in the same
Yeah.
state doing what, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
instead of looking that, you know what, this relationship may not have been viable, so we had to dissolve it, and this person now has a new life. But here's the thing, make sure that you are staying connected to this part of us, you know what I mean, because this is
Yeah.
what we created and that's your job. I shouldn't police your job as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do with your child, you know what I mean, so
Yeah.
that it is felt. I can talk from the child's perspective though, of having a parent that was out of state, you know what I mean, and then now in my older adult life being able to try and reconnect that way. It is a little harder because I
It
could
is.
say in my situation it wasn't just like click, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does.
relate to the both. I have two sons, and they both live out of state. This is very crazy. The moment I got on the airplane, I text one of my sons, and he was like, "Mom, when you land, I need you to call me." Like that's how deep like the mental health stuff is. Like, and so I waited till I got where I was, and I called him, and that quick he needed that type of encouragement right away. He was like, "Mom, I need you," and I was available regardless of me being jet lagged or you know what I'm saying, just tired because that's a long flight, and then the time difference, 2 hours ahead here. I still picked up that phone and was like, "Yes, son," and listened to what he had to say, even if it was late too. But I listened to what he had to say, and then that's what really made me be like, "Okay, we got to talk about this because what if the men don't have the mother, the mate, anybody to talk to?" Because I don't know, like it just made me be like, "Wow, this is crazy." Because I had a dear friend of mine going through something, and my heart was so hurt because I was like, "Dang, why did he call me?" This is my best friend, as a matter of fact. And I was like, "Why are men not talking?" And that's where we came up with this. Like, why ain't they talking? Why ain't they reaching out to us? So, also welcome to the stage, Naja. How you doing, Naja?
Hey,
Much love and respect to the chat and the panel. Can you hear me?
we can
Yes.
hear you.
All right. Just want to check in right quick, but I'm gonna let the conversation flow, and I'm gonna fit in where I fit in.
Well, before I'm gonna ask you this: how's your mental health today?
It's great. It's been great. Yeah, it's been great for for a couple of years now. I'm aware of it. And I make sure I stay on top of that. It's just the most important thing after all. If your mind ain't right, you can't get nothing right.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, men, this: what makes men not want to talk? But I know King Miller mentioned some things as well, but I want to just get a clear understanding what causes the shutdown.
To me,
Well,
to me,
oh God, my bad.
okay. To me, they're all about the background. Sometimes between how they, sometimes men were raised different. You know what I mean? It's all about who raised you. Did your mom raise you? Did you live with your dad? Was your dad over there? They was in a picture. Most men afraid because once they say something to a female or to anybody, they're like, "Hey, you a man. You shouldn't feel no pain. You shouldn't be hurt. You should take it and suck it up." But no, that ain't true. We men, we got feelings just like anybody else. But it starts from home though. Sometimes I believe it really does. And sometimes, like the generation kids now, I would say they don't have no male role model to show them how to talk, how to speak. If something wrong with you, why not? What's wrong with you? There ain't nothing wrong with you to talk, to tell somebody something wrong with you. You having a bad day, you having a bad day. That's it.
Well, coming from my perspective, right, and I definitely agree with you 100%. But coming from my perspective, I like to add this. I think that come uh from experiencing abandonment, from an early age. What I mean by that, not necessarily, you know, uh you know uh feed you, with the basics, but I'm as far as, going beyond that, because growing up, I realized a lot of parents, all they worried about, was, uh going to work, right, and pay bills, so as a child, you felt like, you're being neglected, you're being abandoned, don't nobody really care about you like that. and it get to a point that where you finally accept that don't nobody really care about my feelings, don't nobody really care about what I think, don't nobody really care about what I do, don't nobody really care if I'm even here you know so you just went you just accept the harsh reality for what it is, because at the end of the day you know people really don't care. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm speaking for the vast majority. People really don't care. People will ask you how you doing, but they're already thinking about the next question they want to ask you. They don't really care about how you doing for real. But I'm gonna keep it short like that.
That's a very, that's very good insight. Do you think that is, and I agree because everybody has a different upbringing and so forth, right? I get that. And a lot of people tend to use that, like, to me as a crutch. I wasn't raised this way, or I wasn't taught this way. So, how in an growing into adult manhood, how can women help with a man that doesn't have that, and how what suggestions do you give to men so that part of their childhood they don't pass it on to the next generation?
Like I'm gonna say, like me personally, my father was never in my life. You know what I mean? He was only there for birthdays. So I promise myself, if I ever get a certain age and have kids, I know what to do and not to be like you. Hug my kids, sit them down, show them that I love you, show them that if anything wrong, I'm here. You can talk to me no matter what. It could be good, bad, and ugly. I'm still going to listen to you. I'm still going to give you the best advice I could give you. That what most kids don't have sometimes. Most people don't have that. Most men don't have that no more. They don't have that father in their life who could teach them really how to be a man because they're not there. They're not in the picture. So sometimes you got to find a different way to see who else can be the role model of a man.
And I agree 100%. But like I always do, I'm gonna give I'm gonna add a little my little 2 cents to it. I think uh from my perspective, the evidence that I see out there, for a lot of men, that that had to deal with that, uh, they find that woman, they find that woman that finally, show them that they care, right? That finally showed them that all right, somebody, that man realized, if no one care, that woman is care about me, you know, and eventually that man start to look at things, from a different perspective, or that man probably have a daughter, right? And that have him to open up and start to see things from a different perspective. But the nail in the coffin, for I think you just become that, you know, like we void of what I agree with what the brother said or what I just said. I think you just become that. You just become that person that you just become that caring person. At some point, you realize that you become the change that you're looking for. That's when you go on your own personal journey. That's when you don't need nobody really to kind of trigger that into you. You kind of went and trigger that into your own self. you know that's my thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that because what both of you guys are saying, I've seen it done with men that are taking the steps. A question that I do have is, what do you think the thinking is behind men creating more support groups for themselves or building community as well? Because I see it a little bit. I'm not going to say that it's not out there because I have seen where men are creating groups now and they're getting in groups and they're hiking and they're taught, like Dee mentioned earlier, they're sitting and talking. What are your thoughts about creating more groups of that nature where men can help men heal as well as getting aid from women?
I,
What are your
me,
thoughts around that?
my thoughts. I love that. I love because think about it. Women have their own like what they call it. they book club. White man can have the same a little group. The thing about it, if I'm doing something wrong, hold me accountable, guys. That's all I'm looking at. Because let's say if I need somebody to talk to, hold me accountable. Accountable. If I'm messing up, if I'm doing something, don't nag me and say, "Hey, you're doing wrong." Just tell me like, yo, the way you was moving, we didn't appreciate the way you moving. You should move a different way. But I love the group, man. I'm telling you, that's why I be trying to do it on mine with the round table and have people, but for our community to talk about anything. What's going on, mental, whatever we gotta talk about, get it off the chest. That's all.
I,
Well,
and I
um,
go ahead. Go ahead. No, no, go ahead. I want to hear you.
no, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna get it right after you.
What I wanted to say, I'd like, yes, it's good, but I'm telling you, me and the true daughter of darkness, Christy, have brought this up like about a year and a half ago, and saying how you guys men need to get together and even have bonding moments where let out them tears. If hey brother, I love you and give you a hug, and those men was like, we not doing it. They was like, you want us to get together and cry. They be like, that's like a sister. And it was like, no, I feel that you need that because we as women can't provide all the answers and we don't know what it feels like to be a man. And it was sort of discouraged to do that. So like society is getting better. I could say it's getting better, but I know when I about a year and a half ago when we mentioned that it was like, nah, we ain't getting together and crying and talking about nah, we don't want to do that. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'm gonna just answer the question, the first one, right? I think it's weird, that I've tried it, and I went into environment, where there is older man, that's supposed to have more experience, than me, and I try to have conversation with them, and it end up turning a just an argument, because uh the picture that I'm getting, the energy that I'm getting, these men, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but of course I'm speaking for the vast majority. I've seen that these men, they come together and trying to come up with with ways, how to manipulate, not just women, but the way around everything, right? They're trying to manipulate the way around, even when they include these women in their conversation. You can see how they're trying to manipulate, the women, you know, into falling into submission. Submission is not something that you have to force somebody to get into. So uh that's the picture that I'm getting from these women, from these men, that they are broken so much that they're not focused on on healing when they come together. They are trying to find ways to manipulate themselves into the world, and to manipulate the women around them. That's why I think that that type of approach is weird. you know is the opposite of of what I said earlier about the some men that left to face things like that alone, they become that change. But these type of men that get together, void of women, to try to supposedly heal the wound, you know they do the opposite. They become what they hate. They become the things that they went through, and they're trying to find people that's going to fall onto the manipulation, the same thing that they went through. That's just my take on it. And I'm not saying that again is every all men, all the groups do it, but like I said, the vast majority, that's the vibe, that's the energy I get, in this environment. And also that's the picture that I said that they're trying to paint. I think, women is the way to go. Because like I said, the proof speak for itself. Most men, that's been through this situation, they end up, they either get a woman that help them, or they have a daughter. You know, that's my thing.
Hey Alicia, thank you for showing up. I
Hey,
appreciate it.
Alicia.
Go ahead, Kim.
No, that makes perfect sense to me what he's saying. Because and the thing is, like I said, because it's not to bash men, but I would think that there would be a more like camaraderie with men and wanting to get certain things together. But I do also understand that it can take a woman to come in and also bring a structure the same way a man would bring a structure in a woman's life. It's just when you look at the community, and especially in our community, and looking at getting together, because that's what we do here on the ships. And most of the shows that we partake in, it's about healing, getting to a oneness, because we're all connected at the end of the day. Like we all have a part to play in this thing called life, and whether we're going to help each other out or be the downfall of one another. And there's so many things that we've normalized in toxic ways and toxic behavior, and looking at labeling things this and dealing with that. It's almost to create the separation for us. And at some point, it's like, okay, what can we do to heal one ourselves so that we can go out into our communities and heal our children, ourselves, and our men? You know what I mean? So it's just listening to a man explain what it looks like from y'all's point of view to get that healing, or maybe some of the challenges with trying to find that community so that you could potentially put yourself in a better spot by having that community.
Indeed. Yeah.
So yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead.
now I was just, just gonna add that, right quick, a little bit, to piggyback from what I was saying. You rarely see, a man, come out of this group, and have a better relationship, with a woman. You know, you hardly see it, and that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I'm just saying you hardly see it.
All right. See, and I'm a creative thinker, and I'm one of the people, like I said, because I've been through a whole lot of things in life. Not that I know everything, but I do know a lot. And one of the things that I worked on, because I do have sons, and I'm looking at how the world is turning today, and I'm looking at the kind of young men that they have to grow up around. And in this day and age, it's really hard to find young men that are, one, emotionally stable, and two, actually mentally in tune with themselves. And so I try to bring what um, I feel from my perspective to help them in that situation. And I'm a woman, so I'm looking for the right type of men to be in my son's lives to help bring them along. But it was good to hear your perspective, because even trying to find that, because people think that maybe you have to be in a relationship to find this for your kids, and that's not correct. It's just about the community that you create and the type of men. If you're looking at how these men are and how they treat themselves or their families or whatever, that you could potentially put your child in a space where they can also grow, even though you may not be in a relationship. But again, that's that community thing that I'm kind of looking at too.
Man, I'm inspired, right? I'm inspired, with your relationship and King. Is I've been watching, what I can see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm inspired. You know, if being who I used to be, I would have been jealous, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
being who I am now, I'm truly inspired. I've mentioned you, I've talked to certain people, on the phone, that aware of this community, and I've mentioned you multiple times. You know, this I'm watching you and King, and I'm like, man, this is this is a reminder of why I came here. And believe it or not, it helped me, to have a better relationship with my daughter.
Gratitude, King, gratitude. And here's the thing, and that's what we're looking for. Like we have our hashtag is collaboration over competition. And if you've seen our shows, we put that out there too, because literally it is the collaboration with one another. There's too much separation out here, and this separation is allowing for our homes to be torn apart. You know what I mean? And at some point, we got to really get back to the root of who we are and creating our own systems and things that we need for us to survive. Because what I think that it looks like, it doesn't look like what's been shown out here. And everybody's relationship is unique to them. So what may work for me may not work for another brother and sister. And this is where I heard you at when you said that men kind of want to assert themselves to manipulate not only women, but to just kind of manipulate the situations in general. That's the part that I'm like, we need to break down when you don't even have to manipulate. Just be who you are. And there's a place for you in the community that you're creating, especially if you're creating a healthy spot. Because what I do notice, I'm new to this YouTube streets and I don't really visit too many things. But what I have seen from the YouTube, there's a lot of separation where we don't need it. Where if we could literally collab, do you know what we could have? We can have schools, we can have gardens, we can have what we consider to be holistic hospitals. We can really do things for our community that would really bring us up, but I don't know what the fear is or what the holdback is of why we still would like to entertain toxicity when most of our experience has been to just be entertainers, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That
make a
makes
lot
one
of
hundred
sense.
percent to me.
So it, like I said, it really just us. Like when I say when we went back home, it was a whole eye opener for us. Like I said, I have sons, so that's the first thing that I'm always thinking of is my sons. My daughters, I got them pretty well down packed, but my sons, because I'm honest with myself, that I know that yes, I'm a woman and I can raise good men, but they still need to have a certain male influence to be able to get a different perspective than even what I can offer to them. And so that's why when we went back home and we kind of seen the men that are in our families, they're not around or they're gone or whatever the case may be, or they're into some type of substance abuse, it's like, dang, like what happened? What's going on? And then you speak with these people and they're like, well, didn't nobody listen to me? Or I was told this, or somebody cut me down here, or it was just like, dang, all the growth that we've been putting into ourselves and doing these shows every week and learning the tools to become better ourselves, it's now kind of hard not to, it's kind of hard for us not to see the help that's needed in our community and to not live into being that so that we can start healing parts. We may not be able to heal all, but just being able to touch one person at a time and change their life for the better and for their family and for our families, I think that that's great.
Yeah, I think that's the benefits. I think that's what come with it. With doing the work for self, like you doing, what we're supposed to do to be doing. I think that's what just come with it. The people around us, just benefit. Just naturally benefit from it. That's why you could be surround yourself or around a lot of negative people. Eventually, you're gonna start being negative.
Hmm.
Or you could be you was negative with these people and you start to be in some positive, and eventually you're going to see some of these people going to start to be positive with you, you know and eventually that's going to cause a split. But the whole thing is about, once you start paying attention, to when you start become aware, of what's happening. Like me personally, like I look at uh my brokenness. I look at
Hmm.
my brokenness as a reflection, of uh, uh, what's happening inside. What I mean by that, I'm looking at me being born in a broken family, right? Me being born into a broken world, you know, but it's because the world inside is broken, right? So by
Hmm.
me, fixing the world inside, you know, that's automatically fixing the world inside. Everything gonna fall into place. This is why when people, are having an internal, battle going on, turbulence going on, then people tend to crash out, on people around you. All of a sudden, you crashing out on your wife, and she like, damn, what's happening, babe? You good? You having it? And you not even realize what you're doing because all of that going on internally. So yeah, man, is all about doing the work for self, doing your shadow work, and I think a lot of time when people hear that, people think that, oh, he's selfish, man, he always thinking about himself. But that's not what it means. you know to work, do yourself is not mean that you're selfish. Is knowing that ain't nobody else gonna do it for you. You're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
to do it. Even if somebody had to put the food in your mouth, you still gonna have to you know break it down and digest it. So you're still gonna have to do the work, and that's what I mean by do it for self, do it for self.
Right. Yeah, here's the thing. It takes courage. One thing that I will say from both the man and the women's perspective, I think that I can join them together and say that it takes courage for a person to actually work on themselves. It takes courage not to entertain the stereotypes that we have out here that we people put on us. It takes courage not to live up to those things and to want to change for the well-being of the entirety of our community. You know what I mean? Because I think that people look at it as, well, I'm only just helping me. Well, you don't understand that helping you will help someone else because you're going to be practicing something that someone else can look up to. I'm inspired every day that I do get a chance to come and create content with Goddess D and the rest of my CLC family. It really feels good because it's like I don't care if I just talk to one person and one person is like, I chose therapy today or I chose myself today to reflect. You know what I mean? That is a benefit that I see if we really want to heal ourselves is one, find the resources. Be strong enough and gain the courage to find the resources to help heal yourself. Because women, yeah, we can help you do it, but I'm watching women be like, "Ah, why should I have to help him? His mama should have did it." And then he's like, well, she ain't giving to me, so man, I'm not just gonna do it. But with everyone, it's a self journey first. You were brought here on your own. You came through that canal by yourself.
Yeah.
You also have to live in this world and do it, like you said, for self. Doesn't make you selfish, but it also lets you know the things that you want and the things that you don't want out of life, and to also discard those things that are not working.
Yeah. And guess what? You have the courage to do it. It come to a point where you realize that, man, you know, I've been putting up with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm strong. I got a lot of courage, man. I've been putting up, with my family, then I go into the world, I've been putting up to the world, I'm a courageous, person.
Mm-hmm.
And when that kicker hit, and that's when you start to go on that journey, but it gotta get to that point. Do you know how they say, whatever don't break you make you stronger. Some people, it broke them, like, they already come into this world broken, so it just finished them, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
some people, it just made them stronger, and they come out on the other side, because, like I said, they realize, they get the wake up call, and they realize that, man, I got courage, I got a lot of courage, I can do it. I've been doing it my whole life. People have been telling me, remember, oh, they say I couldn't do that, I did it. They say I couldn't do that, I even told myself I couldn't do that, and I did it. So, like I said, it get to a point you realize that, yeah, man, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's when you become unstoppable. Can't nobody, all, everything is just blurred. All the noise that, that was distracting you, all that noise, is just, blurred.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. Sometimes we just got to get the tunnel vision as men and women and just call things what they are. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have so many in our community. We can name something that means something totally different. If you understand what I mean, we'll take a word and it means something totally different, and we'll make it into being what we want it to be. And so we put a lot of labels on things instead of calling it for what it is. If you need to get help, whether it's with substance abuse, whether it's with abuse as a child, you know what I mean? We got to literally start clearing these things out. Everybody has a story. Everybody in this world has been through something. Now, the severity may be different, the trauma may look different, it could be different, but at the end of the day, we've all been through something. So I think that we owe each other a bit of compassion. I'm not saying that we put up with someone's disrespect if somebody's constantly disrespecting us. We need to also stop those things from happening too. Like when we're in a space where we're being disrespected as men and as women, we should call it what it is. This is disrespectful. I'm not messing with you, and let there be a boundary that says you cannot cross this. Because what I notice sometimes with our community is we're so easy to accept the toxicity and go toxic back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, even in families. Like we're okay, we'll say, you know what, that's just mom and that's just dad, or that's grandma, or that's just grandpa. They act like that, and it's very toxic. And we label that as, oh, they may be joking, or they just act like that, and then it becomes normalized. And in that normacy, it creates generational curses after curses after curses. And we don't know why our children are now being affected, because we've allowed things to happen instead of just calling it for what it is and just being there for what it is.
Well, that's been the biggest problem, and when it comes to humanity, is control, right? It get to a point, where I don't want nobody to control me or I don't want people to control me to me controlling people, or it go to damn, I ain't had nobody helping me, so I'm finna go around and help everybody that need help, right? So is it come to a point, where even me, I'm speaking on that because that's what I'm dealing with, right? With the balance, with balancing things, you know, uh, too much of anything, is not good for you. So I find myself, was so drunk, on my brokenness, and I was, looking for people that was broken to heal them or to fix them. You know, that was a thing for me. Like that was my addiction. Like, like I would, uh, uh, look around for people, and I would see myself in them, and I would try to help them. And these people don't want my help, because uh, help is something that is not something that you can just force on people. Help is different, from uh, 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 I'm gonna just say this, like help. Help is different. From forcing something on somebody. You're going to realize at some point that you're doing the same thing that was being done to you. Damn, I'm forcing this help on that person, but they on something else right now. They don't even they don't need my help. Like I need to chill. I need to or you know uh that person is broke. Is I could say the open wound, man. Let me patch that for you, bro. He's gonna get infected, and be like, nah, bro. Like my, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have no wound, you know. So that's what I mean by the balancing thing, because like I said, too much of anything, you know, is become bad. I could try to help somebody and do good for them, but it end up turning bad, right? That happened
Hmm.
a lot. Like I mean, that happened to me a lot for the past 5 years. Like ever since like I've learned how to heal myself, like, and I'm not talking about just mental, like physically too. I could heal myself too, cause my grandfather was a shaman. He was a voodoo priest. So I'm tapped into and all that. But what I'm saying is that once I start doing it for myself, and I start to come in contact, whether it was a female or friend, and I was pushing that help on them, you know, and it came back, to bite me all the time, So that's why I'm learning that, look, man, yeah, it's good to help people, you know, but you gotta let them come to you first for the help.
Yeah, yes, yes. And that's why we do the, and to speak into exactly what you're talking about, that's why we, and not to cut you off, King, but that is what we're working toward by creating this environment. You know what I mean? Because the information, what I do know is that people, when the information is free, they do whatever they want. The minute you start charging people for information, then you get some people that take it seriously. But the thing about it is that we giving information freely because one, not the first person that we think about is ourselves. You know what I mean? The first thing that we think about is we ain't up here trying to call nobody out or doing nothing. Literally our experiences and then just walking y'all along our journey of what we've been through and what we've done to heal ourselves. Like we be talking to ourselves here too when we have these conversations with you. And then just to get off the just to get into the perspective of how things are, we want to make sure that we're creating something where one, we're healing first because we know if we don't get ourselves together, nothing else is going to come. And we know that the people that want the help or the people that want the information, they going to join too. You know what I mean? And they'll also start that process or just giving the information. I believe in energy as well. You know what I mean? The energy that you put out is the energy that will return to you.
That's what I'm learning right now. Like even when it comes to money, right? One thing I learned, from the Haitian culture is that, uh when the food is ready, whoever cooked the food gonna share a plate for everybody, and whatever's left on the pot is theirs, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's because that's the culture, that's how I grew up, so subconsciously that's how I was operating. So even when it come to money, I was like, yeah, man, I already know how to make money, man. I make money, money don't make me. So I was going around giving $1,000 around with my friend. We going out, giving everybody money, make sure everybody good, knowing that I'm gonna be good because I know how to make things happen, you know and when finally, when I could have make things happen, and I realized like, oh wow, like I didn't give I didn't give everything. I didn't even leave nothing for me. And even when it comes to the to healing too, when it comes to information and everything, as soon as I get I get my hands on some information, I was ready to go and tell somebody. I didn't even take my time to digest the information and apply it to myself. I was
Mm-hmm.
ready to go and tell somebody, you know and like I said, all of these things put me in a position to realize that I gotta start putting myself first.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, if I can offer a different perspective, I've learned how to allow people to have my overflow. Not that they get to tip my cup or they get to take a drink out of my cup, but I know that if I feel myself enough, whatever that overflow is, if you are in that energy and you're ready to begin the healing, you're going to get some of that overflow. Because I'm with you, taking a piece of yourself and divvying it out to everybody else before you actually take in what you need to be able to survive is difficult because you will drain yourself and be burnt out at the end of the day. So the perspective is just, hey, if you over there in the overflow area, you may get that overflow, but the
Man, you
rest
just
that
give me
is
a
coming in this
revelation.
cup is for me.
You just give me a revelation. I just remember a time, a specific conversation in the Bible, when Jesus was talking to that lady, and the lady came to Jesus for help, and Jesus was like, man, I came first to the lost children of Israel.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
lady was like, come on, even the dog sit at the table of his master, get the crumbs,
Yeah.
you know and it hit different when when you mentioned the flowing, what's overflowing, they can get what's overflowing, you know
Right.
translation, that's the crumb that's falling off the table, is a harsh way to put it, but I get it, like, you can get, whatever, that I have after I got what I get, because if I give you first, I might not, I might have to deal with whatever left after, and it might not have nothing left. So like I said, that's why I say I got a revelation. That's it's crazy you said that.
Yeah, and I'll just take it one step further. I'm not going to necessarily look at it as the crumbs. I'm looking at it as a cup that's filled with water. Once it starts to
Mhm.
overflow, it's not just a crumb. It's
Right.
actually the blessings of what I have. But you got to be in position to receive that, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you're out of position or you are out of alignment, your energy's out of alignment, you know that whatever's on your mind, you going to become that. If that's what you thinking, if that's what's in your heart, then that's what's going to show up. I don't believe in pretending or somebody playing. I believe who you are when you show me who you are when you show up. I just give the benefit of the doubt that I know that I'm not a perfect person. You know what I mean? I know that I have flaws, so I'll give a person the benefit of the doubt. However, after the benefit of the doubt has been given, I'm now focused back on me because I know if you're in alignment with me, the overflow that I have will flow over to you and it will help you out. You know what I mean? So many people think that, oh, you got to be with this person or you got to be doing something with this person. No, from the community that I have, because I have men in my life right now that we are brothers and sisters, not through blood, but because we grew up together, because we help each other out, or because they know their positions in life and I know my position in life, but we're able to still work together to get things done and get things accomplished. And our children are able to see, hey, this is how community should work. This is the way how we should be getting things done. And so, yeah, that overflow piece I'm looking at, if you in alignment, you're going to receive not no crumbs because what you're doing, that self work is a lot of work that you're putting in. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that. And when I look at that as being my overflow, all the work that I've been putting in, once that work starts to overflow and I'm reaping the benefits, once the overflow start happening, you got to be in alignment to be able to receive that.
No, I get you 100%. I was putting it, as above, so below.
Yeah, yes,
Right.
yes. And you were
That's
right.
why,
Yes.
I use, the cup, the overflow, and the under the
Mm-hmm.
table, over and under the table.
Under. Yeah.
That's something, that was basically me talking to myself, like, oh, all right, just tie these two together,
I got you,
you
King.
know.
Yeah.
I definitely got you
Sorry, y'all. Can
100%.
y'all
That's
hear me? Can you
loud and
hear me?
clear.
Oh, hey, Goddess D. I can hear you.
Man,
POP holding it
we
down. I'm
haven't
sorry, King.
we
I'm sorry,
haven't
King. One
no
moment.
good. That's good practice for you, Kills. We having retrograde problems over here.
Oh,
Go ahead, y'all, because y'all going in. I appreciate everybody that is tapped in. I know King Miller. Did King Miller have to go?
yeah, he's at work.
Probably at work. Yeah, okay. Y'all go ahead though, because this is good conversation, and this is what I wanted. So, despite all the technical difficulties that I'm having, y'all go right ahead.
No,
I
well, I
just
was
want to
just
make sure
listening
let
to the
y'all know I'm
king.
back.
Okay, thank you. But no, I was just
I'm gonna
listening
go
to the
find the
king here.
charger to this. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead, Naga. Hold it down for me. I'll be back.
We got you.
Yeah. So no, I love hearing your perspective because that's more of what we need. You know what I mean? It's more of just like you said, just having the willingness to want to collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no competition in this space. Is what can we create? We can create more together than we can create separation. I want to have people around me that I can trust, men, women, and children, because right now in these days and age, you got to keep one eye open for even the kids because you don't know what kind of environment they grew up in.
And that's what take a lot of determination, is to have the will, to want to collab, with, other people after, having to, to bring yourself out of that hole, after, having to, deal with whatever you had to deal, alone, now you're out of it. It take a lot of determination, to wanna, collab with other people.
Yeah, I get what I really be looking at is I'm not gonna spend my time wasting it on people that I can't trust. Like I said, I'm gonna see how you are, and then if you're not that, then it's go move on. No hard feelings, no, you know what I mean? No madness or no none of that. It's just you know what's for you, and I know what's for me. And so I don't look at it as I'm waiting for you to give first, and I'm no, I'm gonna show up authentically who I am, and if that me being me who I am is not suitable for you, you okay to say, yeah, it's not for me. And I'm okay with that. But I also do the same as well, where I look at it holistically, where I say, you know what, okay, yep, I see you a good person. We could be cool. You know what I mean? So it's again, we did a series last week on hurt people, right? And we
Mhm.
learned through that process that sometimes it's not even people trying to be malicious, but because of the things they've gone through, they do actually hurt people. So I understand that this may put people at a standstill where they like, oh no, I'm not messing with everybody, or I don't like people. Because I used to be one of those people too that would say, I don't like people. You know what I mean? Y'all hear me on here say I don't have no friends. And I understood now why I didn't have friends, or why I went through some of the things that I went through, but it took that self work. It took me really, like you said, doing that shadow work. It took me going to therapy, having family therapy. It took me a long way, a long time to get to where I am right now. And so,
And
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
now, right quick, and it's something you said, that's very important, you know, and I look at it, as an incomplete statement, right? People is
Mm-hmm.
The statement is hurt people. And the way I said it, I said, they like to say hurt people, but they never told you that heal people, you know.
Yeah.
So hurt people, but heal people also heal people, because energy is contagious. So that's my thing on that, and that the what you were speaking on earlier, that's what I mean by determination. You gotta be very determined, to want to know if somebody is good or bad, because at the end of the day, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just get the hoe and be like, man, everybody left me there for dead. Nobody really care about me. What makes me think that people gonna care about me? Once I get out of it. That's why I say that it take a lot of determination. To even want. To even be open. Like, nah, they're all good people. That I could collab with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. But here, I'm gonna just speak it into existence. We creating community. It's happening. And we ain't trying to stop the bus from moving, because I know that I don't want to grow up and have somebody's kid beat my ass in the nursing home because you didn't raise them right. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like at the end of the day, like we gonna get older too, and what we're leaving that's of value for the younger generation to feed off of, to see, to be exposed to. Because we got to be real, these kids these days are very open minded. They get to see a lot more than what we've seen. Whatever we're portraying, even though we may think that we're out in this world and they're not seeing these things, they probably seeing 10 times more, because they're not only just being exposed to what they're going on inside of their house. They have school, they have friends out here that's going through, they people out on the street be weird. Like, so they're exposed to a lot of different things. But in their house should be the safe space to raise a child that can grow up being stable enough to carry this world too, if that makes sense. That they know how to navigate life's experiences so that they can be a better person for their children even coming up.
I think the problem of this world is grown folks. I think
Yes,
the problem
I
of this
could
world is
agree.
adults. I don't think it got any nothing to do with the child. And in fact, had we let the child be child, the world would have been a better world. I think is the fact that we corrupt the child, by becoming adult, and it is not just any adult, the type of adult that we are, the irresponsible type of adult, the childish, type of adult, you know, that's the type of adult that we force the child to grow up, I mean, to quickly grow up to become,
Mhm.
But I think hadn't we did that, had we stayed in our own corrupted ways, I think the kids will be wise enough to understand that they don't want to be that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
naturally, they would have just, grew up to be, the opposite of us. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's happening. Even though we force these children to be corrupted, to be as corrupted as us, you know, they still be the one that's trying to, get us right.
Mhm.
The children is are the one that's still getting us right. That's why earlier in my statement, when I was, mentioning, the two things that can help men, I mentioned women and children.
Yeah.
You know, that's just my thing, and I think a lot of people, disagree with me. They feel like, man, kids don't know what they're doing, man. You gotta raise the kids, you gotta do that. But at the end of the day, you don't know what you're doing. You know,
Mm.
you're the one that needs guidance. How you going to project that on the kid without even giving that child a chance? So you basically doing the same thing that your parents did to you. Your parents didn't give you a chance, to be good, right? They didn't give you a
Mhm.
chance, to see, what you could do. To just decide that you wasn't fit to do it, and you're just going to deny that child the same thing. That's a
Yeah.
generational thing, too.
Yeah. And speaking to that, because now that we've moved down here to Atlanta from Colorado, and not that there's not gang activity where we live, right? But I've never seen like a group of young men, like literally the other day went to the store in a certain neighborhood, and these young fellas got out, all of them got guns. And I don't think any of them could have been over 18. You might have had one, but it made me look at it like, dang, when did we as a community start feeling so unprotected that even our youth is walking around with guns because they feel unprotected? And it just made me look at the mental health in our young men and our grown men. Because, like you saying, perpetuating that cycle, they seen that happen somewhere, or they're in their community, they're going through something, and you've got to have seen it from some adults to be able to carry that on. But it really just spoke volumes, like as a mother looking at because I look from a mother's perspective, like, dang, these young men is out here carrying guns, and now, like, what if someone else comes up and decide, you know what I mean? It's a lot of lives that would be lost. But it really made me think about the mentality of these young men to be able to think that, dang, I got to walk around like this to protect myself amongst the other many things that are going on in this world that they got to protect themselves from. That is another piece that they really have to from themselves.
You know why is that?
Please
That's
enlighten
a
me.
that's a family problem, right? So we had these eras, right? These crack eras was uh hand to hand, with these wars, right? These the Vietnam Wars, right, and these other wars that that had going on. So when it comes to the crack era, when it comes to these wars, right, these things require men, and not to say women wasn't a part of it. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying the focal point, was men, you
Hmm.
know, adult men. So all these adult men, that was indulging, in these eras, right? You know, had, uh, uh, boys that grew up with no parents. So these boys growing up, hearing all right about other men violating, right, grown men's right, and these little boys is growing up to be men and be like, nah, that ain't gonna be me. That's why these boys, and even when it comes to school, like they was like setting the tone, letting it be known, like, look, y'all ain't gonna treat me like y'all treat these other men. right? Even though I don't have nobody to protect me, I'm gonna protect myself, right? So it create, that type of mentality. Like, look, man, like I ain't no uh B, I ain't no P, I ain't no soft, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
soft, I'm not none of that. So it breed these, all these, boys that's on demon time.
Yeah.
But it's all come from, like I said, from all these men had to go to the military, in the name of helping their country, and also all these men that had to indulge in the crack era because they couldn't get no jobs.
Okay.
That's why these men, these boys now, they're working around with, we switch, you know, extend
Mm-hmm.
those, like they're ready, to do anything at any minute, because that's how they're looking at, man, it could be me. And it's definitely not gonna be me. If it could be me, if it could be anything, it's gonna be you. It ain't gonna be me. That's how they're looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a survival tactic.
Yeah.
I'm back, y'all. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Welcome
Thank
back.
y'all for holding it down. Y'all having a good conversation. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I need some lavish life right now, blended. Okay, anyway. No, y'all, go ahead. I know I missed a lot. I had a lot of questions, but I'm sure Kelly
Jump
covered
in.
them because
Jump in with the
no, I'm just
questions because he's
what it
he's
what
got it
I
blowing
was
it
just,
up.
yeah, I know not I already know we've been on platforms together before, so we know how this goes. But I know you guys were talking about different things. I wanted to just, like I said, the part of the men's mental health. Cause like what have I experienced within the last week, like being at home, one of my best friends, okay, blended. Um, he decided just to do some weird, wild out things, and like it tripped me out because I was like, I'm here for you. And we talk about everything. And it was so weird because I was talking to my sister on the phone, and I was like, ooh, I need to call my best friend because I had a question about some things that was going on. And it's a guy, right? And that's when I got all, soon as I hung up the phone, my son called me and told me some stuff that was going on. And I was just so dumbfounded because I was like, how come he didn't come talk to me? And I felt bad because it was like, I was sad, right? I was really sad because I was like, that's my best friend. I don't know what's going on. And it just made me feel as a woman, what did I miss? What did I miss as being his friend, not for him to be able to come talk to me about it? So this is what really brought on this subject. And then of course, dealing with family men in our family, both brothers, yeah, brothers, both of us brothers. And they just turn to other things instead of talking to people that are there for them. So that's when Aladdin was like, have a live about it and ask the men because it's hurtful. I got a lot of understanding for it now, but I just want people to know, and like my friends to know, and my brothers to know, and my cousins to know that we're here for them. This is a space, not even on this platform. Pick up that phone,
Mm-hmm. And call.
call us, man, call us and let us know. Hey, I don't care what it is. Like, let me know. I'm thinking like this, or I need to vent because there are women out there that really care about men's mental health, despite of what society is saying. Because they go, 2025, it's all about the woman empowerment, which I'm for women empowerment too, but not in the way they're doing it, but as to the point where we don't need a man. And I could see how that could mess with the man's mental health. So I was really just like, let's chime in with the men and see what they say about what us as women, as friends, as sisters, because that's how it's affecting me right now, can help with the mental health. And is there a way that we can relay it in a way that we are here to help, and what we should do on our end to help with
Uh-oh, is it just me
Oh,
or
oh, D, I think that you cut out.
is she got some technical issues?
I cut out.
Yeah,
Y'all
at the
Yep.
can't
end
hear
part.
me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you
we
now.
can. I think it happened again.
Okay, yeah, I think it happened again. But yeah, I get it where she's coming from too. Just the family issues that we've had is
Me
been
soon
the
as I
same.
got here. Mama called me soon as you get here. What's going on? I'm not. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
I can I can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can
Can
hear
y'all
you.
hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, like, even I said, even my son, um, I didn't even make it on the airplane good enough, and he was like, "Mom, I need you to call me right away." And of course, I'm right there. But it's like, what as as women can we do to help in these situations? And I know we can't solve everything. I know that, but I do feel that there's an issue with men's mental health, and it's not really addressed or looked at properly. So that's
I
what brought on it.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
thought you were.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Now I want you to finish. Get it. Get your thought out.
No, I was finished.
I think I know what's going on, right? Because I'm looking at it from, me, where I'm at with things, me being a man, me being an adult, but I'm also looking at it, me be, the inner child, my inner child perspective, because, I like to tell people, man, I got my inner child with me. I went back and get him, and he with me now. Everything he didn't get, you know, he's getting it now. But what I'm saying is that, the point of me saying that, I think I know what's happening. You ever, watching, kids playing, right? And then out of nowhere something happened where they're fighting amongst themselves, and you realize that they're fighting, because of a specific thing. And you might be like, oh, just let this one play with it. Here, come here, I'm gonna give you another one. And they're like, no, I don't want this one, I want that one, right? So I'm saying this to say that, I think, what's happening with a lot of men, you know it's not that they're not getting help, but the help they are getting, or where they're getting their help from, that's not what they want. You know, that's not what they want. The help they wanted, man, I wanted to hear that for my girlfriend. Man, I wanted to hear that for my mama. Man, I wanted to hear that for my auntie. Man, I wanted to hear that for my, for my best friend. That my guy, we grew up together. I wanted to hear that from him. I wanted him to help me. Why you gotta help me? Why can't he help me? You know, that's the thing, that's the thing that, I think that's what's going on mentally. I think that, our people are stuck, where they was at. People are looking at the, damn, like, I did all that for you, man. I did all that for her, man. I did all that for him. I did all that for, oh, I was there for him. I was there for her. No, I'm going through that, man. You should know, you got it. They should have been there for me. Why did, that's, what I'm getting from it, mentally, is that, it's not, like I say, it's not that they're not getting help, but, it's not coming from, it's not coming from where they want that help. It's come, the help hit different. The truth hit different. Certain things hit different when it coming from your close ones, right? From the people that, that's supposed to care about you. It's like, damn, all right, I felt that. Yeah, it's like, if I'm walking, I'm gonna just give an example so you'll see what I'm saying. If I'm just walking down the street with my pants, below, my waist, and some a random person be like, yo, now I gotta put your pants up, bro. I'm gonna look at, the old me gonna look at him crazy, like, who you talking to? Like, and just kept it pushing. But if my pops told me that, I'm like, yeah, you're right, pops. Or even if I ain't gonna tell him he's right, I might just pull my pants up, and just go around the corner and do the same thing. But it's the respect I have for him. The fact that it coming from him, I receive it different and I react different. That's what I wanted to say. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I don't know. That makes perfect sense right
That
there.
makes perfect sense. Right.
You put a lot of look, because I might have some questions for you, Naga. But I'm like that because here's the thing, though, man, you kind of tripped me up with that one. Because that is what I'm seeing is most people would be like, because I didn't hear it from this person and this is who I expected it from.
Hmm.
It don't matter what anybody says. I'm not gonna listen to what they saying because they not right. The person that I wanted it to come from. And I see that even in death, because I had to help my son through this too, because there was a conversation that he had with his father before he passed. And he felt so bad about the conversation. And he's like, man, I wish I could have just apologized to my dad, and I didn't get a chance. So he was holding that in him. And for the longest time, we just really got over it a few, about a year ago, that he really just kind of released it, that he felt that way. But for a long time, he was looking to have his father's apology. And as long as his father is not here, he was able to kind of hold that, like, well, and he's not going to be able to say it. So I'm going to just have to live with this feeling. But we had to do a lot of work to work through that, to let him know that these were your feelings in the moment. Your father would have appreciated to hear the words and probably also the apology, but he's gone. And he wasn't wrong for how he felt in that moment, but he has to move on from that because a parent's love is deeper than words. And so we had to really work through that with him so that he wouldn't remain stuck. But to your point, and what you're saying is that before we worked through that, the identification of that is that he was waiting on the apology from a person that wasn't going to be able to give it to him.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. And I agree. Y'all can hear me, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
not on my regular device. So I agree with what you were saying, Naga, about the childhood inner work. Because we talked about on the live before this about, I know with me, I had to actually go into my inner child. And even if I didn't get that apology, I said it to myself. And I feel like a lot of childhood work needs to be done in order to get your mental health stable. What I do see in our community, the melanin and brown community, is people don't want to do that work. They don't want to do the therapy. Like I said, they don't want to have a men's group because they feel that that's being a sissy if you go cry in front of a man. And so they go to other things that could be harmful for themselves and their family because they don't want to do the inner child work. And I firmly believe, because I know what helped me in my journey, in my experience, is I had to go and do that inner child work. And that's something that takes a lot of vulnerability. It takes a lot of tears. It takes a lot of anger and everything, but you gotta do the work if you want to heal. And my healing was not just for me, but for my children and for my grandchildren, and to break that generational curse of the mental health issues that could occur, because it's deep within our family. It's deep. So doing that work does require that inner child, like you said, because I have to look at myself in that work and say, hey, I said my name and I said, I'm sorry that this and this didn't happen. And I had to actually embrace myself because, like Kelly said, you are looking for an apology from somebody. You might never get that apology, especially as an example like she gave. That's not going to happen. But if you go and work for yourself and do that work, even though it hurts, you got to go do it. So I I just want men to know that that doesn't mean you're a sissy or you're a punk or all this and that, because a lot of men don't like to cry in our community. Boy, crying, you better get on out. Like, that's the thing that they don't like to do. But it's okay to have those tears, because we are both masculine and feminine energy, not in the way of what the world puts it. We have both of those in us. We have the masculine and we have the feminine energy. That's what human beings are made of. So when it's time to have that feminine side, which is the nurturing side, getting into your emotional sides, it doesn't mean that you're not a man. It just means that you're tapping into who you are.
Yeah, people. A lot of people don't know that. Crying. When you cry, this is a way, that your soul, release its burden. That's what ages you, or that's what make your body, ages the way it ages. Is your soul. Your soul have too much, when too much weight, on it. Your soul is too heavy. This is where, even when they talk about, your light gotta be, light, like a, as a feather, so, all that, the thing that we putting into, into our soul, is what, again, like I said, is what ages you. So when you cry, you release, all this tension, that all this weight that was, that was making that, your heart, that was making your soul, your spirit heavy. You cleansing. It's a cleansing to the body. It's like, have you ever seen that people that wear glasses, every now and then, like, they'll remove their glasses and wipe it out? When you cry, that's kind of what you do. When you cry, that's basically kind of what you do. You basically, wiping out your vision. You can see things clear because you don't went into your soul, to get these tears out. You just went all inside of your body to get these tears out. That right there was a manifestation itself. Your cry is a an example of manifestation.
Mhm.
So it cleans the body. And people don't do that. Once you don't do that, what happened? The body get clogged. The body get clogged. This, get clogged, and your spirit get heavy until you drown in your own breath, or in your own, you know, oxygen. Because we are. They say we 70-80% water, so you drown in your own water.
Mhm. And your tears has so many gifts in them,
Yeah.
and they're like seeds. They're planted. So whatever you are releasing, the just like you said, just the light as a feather feeling is what I could resonate with. That it's just being able to set your soul free
Yeah,
and
when you
cleanse
cry,
it.
when you have a good cry, not any cry, a good cry, you feel light.
Hmm.
Or, like, I'm telling you,
Facts.
feel light.
Yeah. Facts. And I think about that, like you said, think about your tears like rain. If we
Mhm.
don't get the rain that's provided from the earth, it's gonna be dry, right? It's gonna start cracking. The land ain't gonna look beautiful and all that. But once that rain comes out, things start to grow. That's the same with your tears. Once you release them tears, you begin to grow. It's the same, because I believe in nature like that as well. You know what I'm saying? So nature and life are the same.
Mhm.
Water from the sky helps the earth, and water, tears from you is going to help you. Most importantly, in the inside, because you're releasing. So I totally forget. I get it. I get it. Like I said, this is something that is very, it's touchy, and I'm not trying to go into a lot of the things that went on, but it's a touchy subject. And I did tell my a couple of my family members and friends, I wanted to talk about this. And this is where we are. And just know that there are women out there that care and want to listen and start being around women like that. Just saying, get
Mhm.
away from them women that's allowing you to have bad behavior and not listening to you and all that. No, dude, it's people. There's the right woman out there for you guys. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah, we over here.
That part feels.
And there's more women that listen that may not drop down, but again, we're creating that energy to be able to create that safe haven for people, not even just men, for ourselves first, for people to come and get that healing, for them to have a safe place to open up and talk amongst everything else that's going on. You know what I mean? The thing is don't abuse it. Don't the Where we fall short is that sometimes there's a time to be serious, and then there's a time for to have that love. When we're in that serious moment, just like anybody, you would want someone to hear you, so come in with those same, being on that same energy. I want to hear the topic, I want to stay on topic, I want to come and get my healing. Look at this as the healing space for you to be able to let your burdens down. Cause we come, y'all don't even be knowing. We be telling all our burdens, like, look, we done been through this, we done been through this. And the thing that I
Right.
always say to people is, I'm gonna tell my story because can't nobody tell it for me. And number two, you can't make me feel bad or shame for what I've been through, because what I've been through grew me into the woman that I am today. So look at my reflection that you see right now, because this is what you're gonna get. I'm never going to portray anything other than who I am, because I know if I'm authentically who I am, I'm going to gain the authentic people. Everything else is going to fall away from that.
Right? That's why a lot of men, don't like where they come from. Like for example, right? For example, like somebody that was born, out of uh uh the all word, the eight
Hmm.
word, with the R. People that's born in this situation, they don't like to talk about their pops, right? They don't like to
Hmm.
talk about where they come from, but that's your roots. You gotta know where you come from so you know where you're going.
Hmm.
Because if you don't know where you come from, how can you know where you're going? you know but to speak on the inner child thing, I think a lot of people don't think that is it's even a thing. People like to say, man, what's in the past stay in the past, right? Oh, that old version of me is dead. Well, that's the reason why it's coming back to hunt you, right? Because you're
Hmm.
supposed to go back and resurrect that part of you, right? And because you abandon it, you ignoring it, right? And that part of you is coming back to haunt you, just like you do to your parents, right? Or just like you do, to whoever that abandoned you. You're gonna come back and let them know, yeah, yeah, whoever, whether it's a man or whether it's a woman, you're gonna come back and let them know, yeah, I know what you did. You know what you did too, right? And
Hmm.
that's what's happening to us, as men. You know, these things keep coming back into our face, but we think we could sweep it under the rug, and one day you'll realize that your house is piled up. It's piled up. With every time that your inner child come up and you sweep it under the rug, and that's what get people to the point that where you know they'll unalive themselves, right? Because they realize that, damn, I done did that. I done dig a hole for myself. I might as well just bury myself in it.
I've heard now that one right there that you just spoke about. I resonate with that because I've heard that. Like going back home, that's one of the things that I've heard is I might as well not even just be here. And it was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Right.
Like
Hold on. Yeah,
let's
that's
not go that
yeah.
far.
Mhm.
What is it
Mhm.
that you need help with? First off, like let's troubleshoot this, because I'm a firm believer it's never me. Even when I can get mad and be in my feelings, and my girls know this, like I'll come out and be speaking and all kind of stuff. But when it actually comes to having a conversation with somebody, I can clearly articulate that, you know what, this is you and me against this issue. It's not me and you against each other. And that's where we run into problems, is because we look at it as we fighting each other. And no, when you're dealing with somebody that has mental health issues or substance abuse or things like this, these are people that, one, 9 times out of 10, nobody's probably have listened to them. Because what I know is people will say these people have a problem, but nobody looks at the reason why they have a problem.
Mm.
And until you can identify what that problem is, once you identify the problem, then we're going to work backwards. Because sometimes what I'm learning now is, now because people, like you said, they don't acknowledge that there's an inner child. It's like you got to do the backwards work to work them backwards. Like, okay, so I know that these last couple of years have been like this for you. Okay, so prior to that, when you had this happen, what happened before this? And you kind of got to step a person backwards until you get to that uncomfortable itch on them where they're like, all right, I'm good. I don't want to talk about this. But it's like repeatedly bringing a person back to that point they don't want to acknowledge. But in order to free yourself, because this is only your truth, free yourself from whatever bondage that you're holding on to and release it so that you can be better. But I'm learning that I have to kind of do a backward step with that. With some men, is like they're not
I'm
ready
dealing
just to
that
go.
right now with my pops. I'm dealing with this right now with my pops. Sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead, finish your thought.
No, no, please interject. You good. Well, go ahead and say what you was getting ready to say.
I'm dealing with that with my pops right now. I know, I know for a fact that something happened, around the time of my inception. I knew something happened that traumatized him. That's why he went into Christianity. He don't want to talk
Hmm.
about it. I can never get him to talk about it. Like, what happened, like, around the time I was born? What type of lifestyle you was having? What you was doing? What went wrong? You know, I can never get there with him. You know, like he won't, like, always let me know, like, I don't talk about things like that.
And
So
that's and you know what? That's another route that we wanted to talk about too, because what we talked about on the live show, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, King,
there
but
you
it
go.
was, why is the older generation, they don't want to touch the issues with the 10-foot pole? Like, even trying to understand some of the history in the family, there are some men that won't even touch it. But in order to try to get some understanding or some healing, it's like they like, no. So kind of like where your father is. I mean, how does it make you feel to have to, kind of go through that with your father? Are you able to explain that?
Well, that's kind of what, basically, you know let me know that, I was broken. My relationship with him, like, me and him was never close. you know like, he used to always, have to whoop me, even when I was like 15, 16, 17. And I used to say, like, man, as soon as I'm get, it's gonna come a time you're not gonna be able to whoop me. I'm gonna have my own house. So as soon as I turned 18, I did exactly that. I left his house. I went and, into the world, because I didn't want to be with him. I didn't want to be under the same roof with him. That's how I looked at it. So, it get to a point that where, I felt like something is missing, man. Like, damn, like, I'm looking at my friends, the relationship they have with their pops, like, they able to sit and smoke, together and have conversation, and talk about things, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, that's what I always wanted, man. Like, I always want to be able to sit down and build with my pops, but, like, he on some other, he on some other things. So I'm like, man, let me see, let me go and, and build my relationship with him, you know, and I realized that he's still trying to be a pops. He's still trying to be a dad. He didn't get to be my dad because, I basically raised myself, you know. So
Hmm.
he didn't get to be a dad. So now that I'm coming back to him, he felt like that's the opportunity to be a dad, but I wasn't coming to him for that. I was coming to him, for a friend. I was coming to him to be a partner, You know, I was coming to him to, to be, like two grown men, like, we can build, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that's what I realized. That's why he wanted. He didn't want what I wanted. He wanted what he never had a chance to get. And I realized that I'm craving it so much from him, even though that he doesn't, he didn't even realize that that's what I need. It made me think, it made me realize that I'm broken. You know, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
grown man. I'm still craving to, to have a father. Yes, I'm pitting it like I wanna have a friend. Yeah, I'm pitting it that I wanna have a partner. I wanna be able to be with somebody. But me not being able to get that with him doesn't satisfy me, right? Because I could get
Mm-hmm.
it with anybody. I had other, men that considered me to be like their son. You know, I didn't, that's not what I wanted. I wanted it from him. That made me realize that now I wanted something more than what I'm paying it to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I realized that, man, I was broken, you know, but I'm a grown man. I realize I'm broken, but I could tell that I'm not broken. Like I'm not, I don't really need it, but subconsciously I felt like I needed it. Consciously, I didn't need it, right? But like I said, subconsciously, I needed it because everything I was paying consciously, it gave me a different message subconsciously, and that's when I was like, oh wow, you know, like I need to go into healing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's when I start to going and I start to do certain ritual, and that's when I start to basically study, going back into my grandfather culture, and learn a lot of things, what's going on, and I start to remember stories my grandfather used to tell me, then I start to remember a lot of things that's going, and it took me 2 years, you know to basically going down my memory lane, and find myself, once I found myself and I realized like, damn, I was one sad, abandoned little boy, you know, like nobody really care about. Everybody see how they can use me to the benefits. Like I was one of the kids, like they could send me anywhere, right? In the island. Like anywhere. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
in around me, they know that they could send me anywhere. I'ma get it done. That's how they look at me, and they was using me in that sense. So I was the kids that was, you know, basically more advanced than all the kids around me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, when it comes to my immediate family, nobody really acknowledged me like that. I had conversation with my friends' parents, right? They was telling me like they wish, I was their sons. Because they don't appreciate the way the sons, is moving. And in my head, I'm like, yo, but that's my friend. I'm just like him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like him. We're friends. But I'm just saying, I'm starting to remember all these things, like what I was thinking, when all these things was happening. So like I said, it took me 2 years, to do my ritual, to do all, you know, a whole bunch of things, to finally get myself to a point like where, I understand that he's dealing with, his inner child. He's dealing with something personally that he had to be willing to deal with it. Yeah, that's my pops. Yeah, I want to help him, but
Mm-hmm.
unless he realized that he's broken, unless he realized that he need to do that on himself, I can't really do nothing for him, you
Yeah.
know. And that's where I'm at with it. I'm looking at it like, yeah, I see what's going on, but it's up to you. You know, it's up to him. At the end of the day, he's my pops. I'm not his pops. If it was him, he would have tried to beat me into, doing what I need to do. Right. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm not his pops and I'm not him. So I just have to, you know, just let, things naturally, do what it do. You can't change everything. You just gotta change yourself.
Yeah. And I could resonate with that as well. Just helping my son because it's still a work in progress with him too. Like I said, with my husband dying, it was one of those things where, again, he was looking for that apology, and I could see where he has healed parts of himself. But I know that this is going to be a longer journey for him because he's not here anymore, you know. And so, just to your point, what you're saying, me being the parent, I'm just trying to guide him through that best I can. And then find the role models to help him, build some structure around that as well. But to your point, it's like, I don't want him to grow up and be this man that's now, man mad at himself because he didn't get an apology for his father, or mad because, or blame himself for, okay, I got in an argument with my dad and didn't get to rectify it. So now I got to carry this burden my whole life. And so we're working, like I said, it's a work in progress. I can see where he's made some headway, but he's still working on it as well to work
Yeah,
through that.
a quick suggestion
Hmm.
is to remind him that, he know what to do. For example, right? You didn't know, he was holding this against, somebody that's not here to help him. He come out and let you know what it is, you know. So internally, he know what's going on, you know. So a good way to, to speed up, the process is to keep letting him know that, hey man, you're holding yourself back. I'm not saying it in that way, but in your own
Hmm.
way, how you talk to him, how you let him know that, to go ahead do his thing. Because one thing I realize a lot of time, people already know what they want to do, what to do. They just want somebody to be able to hear them out and let them know that, yeah, bro, you're right. Go ahead, man, do your thing. Hey, shit, you got it all figured out, right? And
Hmm.
that is, oh yeah, I knew I was right. Yeah, let me go ahead and do it, right? It's not like you'll be like, nah, that's not you. You're wrong, man. Look, this is how you do it. Now you have them have a whole internal conflict. Now they over here, you know, comparing you. I mean, comparing what you told them to do and what they're already predetermined to do.
Hmm.
Right? And now they're having an internal conflict. So to avoid that, and that in itself gonna slow down the process, gonna slow down the decision that needs to be made, you know, and that's why since the decision is already, you know, predetermined to be that, and just let it be that, because at the end of the day, if you already understand that, he's gonna do the work, you
Hmm.
can't do it for him, so you might as well, like I said, just keep letting him know that, hey man, you got it, you know.
I
I see,
received that.
I see the progress. I see, all right, I see you, you know, things like that. But yeah,
Yeah, I received that, King. Thank you.
yeah, for sure.
All right, y'all. We about to hit the 2 hour mark. Um, Nagatini, if you have any last remarks for this live, you can go ahead and say those. We're getting ready to wrap it up. I do want to tell you that I do appreciate you for coming up here. We didn't think no man was going to come up here. So thank you to you and King Miller. But you could go ahead and if you have anything you want to say to close out.
But yeah, I just want to say, I definitely appreciate you having me, and the other sister and the other brother that was here too. I definitely appreciate the chat, and I definitely appreciate me, for being able to, to speak freely and give up my
Let's go.
perspective, holding back. With that
Let's
being
go.
said, definitely shout out to the chat, shout out to, to you and what you're doing, the community, and everybody else. And yeah, until next time.
Thank you so much. And don't be a stranger. Okay.
For sure, for sure.
I appreciate you, King. Thank you so much for coming to hit the platform. Queen Kales, this was a
Yes,
good show. It
absolutely.
turned out
Look,
really good, even though I had some issues. But around here we work it out, don't we? We
hey,
got our own little team over here moving and
we do.
grooving.
POP hold it down on every area.
Okay.
That's that COC in real life.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead and
um,
say what you got to say, sis.
thank you, King Miller, for coming through. Naga King, thank you for offering y'all your perspective. Just both of the men for offering their perspective, because as women, like I stated, we could be strong and as resilient as we want to be, but it takes both parts. We need each other. to be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish. The only reason why we're staying stuck is because we're wanting to stay stuck. I will say it that way, because other than that, growth does hurt sometimes, or it can be painful. But at the end of that pain, because you've already endured enough pain, if you look through your whole life, you've probably survived pain so many times, you may have become numb to it. So being a survivor of that means that you can go back and grab that child that once was hurt. And even if it's not the inner child that's hurt, and it may be a teenager or a young adult, your story is your story. Write it differently for yourself, because only you can do that. I like that we talked about this today, because it was very needed in a time that we are growing, and being able to see how we can help our family members, ourselves, and ultimately our community. Um, Again, I'm always thank you for just giving this platform to be able to display self growth, what self healing looks like, because it ain't always pretty, y'all.
Mm.
This growth process ain't always pretty, but we not here to show you the pretty. We here to show you the real. So if you're willing to listen and your antennas are up and your eyes are open, then you should receive what we're giving. If not, take what you need and go on your way. But
She said it so nice.
but we here CLC all day healing one another. That's what we about. And so I thank you for being on this panel, being on the panel with you as well. So that's all I have.
And I like how you held it down. That was good practice for you. Let's go, Kels. Make sure y'all get her subscribers up, okay? She ready.
Thank you. Thank
Let's
you.
go. You was right up in there. I appreciate that. So I want to just say thanks again, Key Miller and Nagajini, for coming up. Thank you for everybody in the chat that showed up. All my cloud watchers, we love you too. Yes, we do. Thank you so much. Make sure you tune in tomorrow here at the Love Palace for the Journey Home, episode 5, which is the altar, part 2. I'm going to go into a deep dive of some meaningful things and how the altar is really you. So make sure you tap into that as well. What else am I going to say? Oh, this was a woman's perspective on men's mental health. We have came to the consistency that we are here for those that are willing to take that help that's needed. And I hope my friend and family are continuing to do well and know that we are here for them. It wasn't to make anything about anybody. It was heavy on my heart and mind. And you know what? This is the Love Palace. I can do what I want.
That
But
part.
with that being said, make sure you check out, like I said, tomorrow here. Hopefully we'll have a daily dose of D. We're gonna see what's going on with this computer over here. But if not, we already have the altar set up for tomorrow. Okay. Make sure you check out Blended Healing, Alicia Dion, Empress Sharon. Oh. And we are always the ladies of the network, okay? So make sure you tune in to Drake Hobbs and all them networks, because we are the ladies, the women of the network. Point blank, period. CLC all day, collaboration over competition. I'm going to take you guys out with the Journey Home promo, and I hope everyone has a nice evening. Peace and love to everybody, okay?
And we're out.
You don't start with a storm. You start with a whisper. That whisper had been riding in the back of your chest for years. It came when you couldn't explain why the world felt off even when your bills were paid. What we are living through right now, this isn't a normal cycle. This is not politics as usual. This is not just inflation or climate or tension. This is a pressure cooker that's been heating for centuries. You didn't just wake up one day and become paranoid. You didn't start hoarding water and flashlights because you were bored. Something in your bloodline has been here before. Real faith don't walk blind. Real faith got its eyes wide open, feet grounded and its hands busy. Real faith doesn't just pray for rain, it builds irrigation systems. We pray for clarity but avoid structure. We want to be saved but not schooled. We've seen the game. We know the game. We know the way systems get rebranded and resold. We watch policies dressed up as progress. We've seen oppression served with a smile and wrapped in language that makes you feel guilty for not clapping. We are here to live well, to live free, to live rooted. We're not preserving life. We're designing legacy. We're not waiting for the smoke to clear. We're building while it rises. We're preparing in motion. We're not hoping. We're honoring. Strategically, spiritually, unapologetically. That's why this series exists. You ask yourself, why now? Because the clock on pretending struck midnight a long time ago, and the only reason people still playing dress up is because they think the sirens are a part of the soundtrack. And the time, it's not next season, it's not next year, it's now. What can you expect? How to protect your money, spiritual defense, food, water, and land, healing, community, moving, breathing, and praying differently. We made it this far. Now let's move it forward together. You already said yes. You already answered. You're already.
Welcome to Conversations That Protect.
Welcome to the rebirth.
Welcome to the War Room.
Welcome to the blueprint.
Welcome to the moment where you finally said yes.
Let's move. And this time, we move ready.
Welcome to your journey home. You don't start with a storm. You
Story and we let the whole truth flow. Oh, friendship, situationship, love in all directions. We don't judge the heart, we just honor its reflection. Lay it down, baby. Speak your soul. Let it be real. This ain't therapy. This is truth dressed in silk robes. This is soul talk over incense and eye contact. This is Sheeps at the Love Palace, where love always gets a seat at the table.